Hello and welcome to Boxcars, a supplementary podcast for War Room PL about all things War Machine and Hordes.
Welcome to episode 32 of Boxcars. I am Martin and I'm playing Signar.
You're playing Signar.
Oh, sorry, I'm playing Minions.
Yeah, I'm Tomasz and I play Circle or Boros.
I was just checking if you're paying attention.
Yeah.
No, actually, I was lately a friend of mine was asking about the Signar advice, and I was just so to say for his sake was checking what can be built right now if with Nemo 3 nerf and he is afraid that Haley 3 will be nerf as well. So I was checking what are the options. So I was actually dodging Signar a bit, so maybe that's where it's coming from.
Yeah.
All longing
All
for
love
Signar.
never dies.
Yeah, exactly. I'm actually a bit jealous about Haley too.
Why?
Because minions don't have such a strong control casters. Okay, well, she's not as strong as she used to be, but still it's much stronger than the control is much stronger than anything that minions have.
You can always come back to Signar.
No, I'm too invested in minions with dojo, time spent, etc., etc. So this season I will play minions for sure. I will see the next year what I want to play.
Yeah, if you don't have what you like what you have. So stick with it.
I mean, I like playing minions. I'm dojoing a lot of new lists, etc. So
All right.
it's not like that, but it's...
So you want TK in your army?
Yeah, we have TK, but we don't have Arknot.
All right.
Sturm and Drang has TK, but the TK is not such a good spell if you don't have an Arknot that can move.
A blind walker?
Sturm and Drang is a big caster, so they cannot use Blind Walker. They
All
can
right.
only use that.
You can play other theme.
Yeah, of course, but it's still he cannot because it's on his card. It doesn't have anything to do with the team.
Oh yeah.
It's on his card that he's pick caster and he can only use the picks. Yeah. So that's a problem.
And can you put Blind Walker onto wrong guy?
Yeah, wrong. I can, but then I cannot arc through him.
Yeah.
Because it's not his controller.
Sure. Sorry, mate.
So yeah, no problem. I mean, there will be Pix CID at some point, and maybe Pix will get
an Arknot.
I mean, there is an Arknot.
Not like Rush it.
No. There is an Arknot. Actually, the new Shrine is an Arknot, but immobile Arknot for TKing is also... I mean, not many opponents walk into an arcing range of 8 inches to be TK'd for my pleasure, so
yeah.
It's
but you have
really
a craft
useful.
Talisman there, so you can make
a
caster.
Yeah, the craft talisman gives the caster plus 2 inches, so
it's still something.
Yeah, he is then 10 inches from the target he's TKing. It doesn't sound too safe.
Yeah, but then you can TK yourself back, so it's 12.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, I wouldn't dream of
or 14
better spend for Fury.
Yeah, sometimes it's the best you can do
on a 7 Fury caster. Yeah, I mean, Storm and Drunk are not bad casters, but I'm just saying TK is not as useful on them as it is on Kruger or...
Yeah, obviously you have no Geomancy. So in Kruger's list, Arknots doesn't even matter at all.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't even have to spend for that.
Yeah. So should we get back on track?
Yeah, let's do that. So this episode, you will tell us about your voyages on Steam Storm.
Yeah.
Was the name of the small tournament, local, nobody knows about. No, I'm just kidding. So it was a big event, but I will let you tell about it.
Yeah, so the Steam Storm is take part in Bratislava in Slovenia, and I didn't know about it because I'm new to the game, but apparently it's a tournament that's not that big. It's a Masters event, but there are a lot of great players coming there from across the Europe. So it was crowded with WTC players, the best of the best. So it's a good place to go. So for the start, I want to say that Germans had their car broken into before the tournament, and 6 armies were stolen. So you can go to War Room PL Facebook page. There are pictures of the armies that were stolen, and because minis are unique and they were painted, it's easy to recognize them. So if you see them around somewhere online or on some pages like eBay or whatever, just there's contact to the German guys. So let them know and let's help them find it.
I don't wish anyone to be in such a situation, to have his army stolen. And
yeah, that was pretty bad because I don't think someone that stole those army knew that their value, so they are worthless for them, and they will probably throw them away or sell them in a pawn shop for nothing. And those guys like lost something that was really important for them.
And the minis are really personal because you paint them yourself. You spend a lot of time. It's not even the money that's so important with them. It's just the time spent painting them, and yeah, that's very terrible. So
yeah, that's unfortunate. But to anyone that want to come there, just to let you know that there is parking inside the place where we played. So Germans left their car parked somewhere outside. So if you want to go there next year, don't be afraid. Just make sure your minis are inside the parking, not outside of it.
And better yet, inside your hotel room.
Yeah, that's the best. So the tournament took place in something like a private school. It wasn't a hotel, but it wasn't like a public school, something smaller, and it's quite cheap. The place is nice, and for 40 euros, I believe, we had a dinner paid, and every attendee got some goodies, proxy bases, and stuff. So it's probably not that expensive to be there. Obviously, it depends on where you are and the flight costs and etc. But I strongly recommend it. And after the first day, we went to a dinner for a dinner to the restaurant. It was one of the best meals I had this year, and it was really cheap. So I strongly recommend the event.
When did you book your ticket for the event? How close to the event?
I don't know. It was just
because I was pretty sure that the event is fully booked, and that's why I didn't go.
Yeah, maybe it was. I don't really remember when I decided to go there, but I remember it was like the last minute to decide and
last minute call. Okay.
Yeah. So I went with 5 guys from Poland. We traveled there by car. It wasn't that far, and going into the event, it was greatly organized. So kudos to Martin that organized it. It was just flawless, like one of the best events I've been into. And we stayed in this place for free. So if someone didn't want to book a hotel, and wanted to stay there for cheap, you could stay in the school. They gave us mattresses, so and we had a key for the room, so that's great. So in day one, everyone that did not win the tournament needs an excuse. So we went there day before the tournament, and we are super tired after the travel, and we were five guys in one small room with closed window because some of us felt ill, so it was really hard to sleep, and and some of us were lucky enough and slept, but they were snoring and some farts were involved, so it was impossible for me to sleep, and I believe I slept for an hour or maybe even less. So when I woke
Afterward,
up,
you think it maybe would be better to book a hotel room after all?
yeah, probably, but you know, it was my first tournament abroad, so that's the experience I have, and I won't. I won't go next time with
Remember,
five guys in a small room.
yeah, 3 people in one room is maybe the top I can survive.
Yeah, it's not a great excuse because before every tournament, I'm probably a bit nervous, and I remember that in Prushkov I didn't sleep at all as well. My mate from room was ill and he was noisy in the night, so it was also impossible. But I guess if I was not nervous, I would sleep anyway. But whatever, that's my excuse. I did not win, but I woke up, so it was terrible. I drink like 3 coffees. I took as many pills I had for everything, for a headache, for my throat and everything, yeah, and vitamins. And
Well, that's me on Prushkov tournament exactly.
yeah, so you know what I was
Swallowing
talking
pills
about.
and going to clean my nose all the time.
Yeah, yeah. So I didn't know it was that bad before I started my first round. So I was paired with a guy from Austrian WTC. I believe his name was Wolfgang, and he was playing Krix, the Negra 2, and Asphyxius 2 in Dark Host. And my lists are Bradigus and Kruger. I've sent already my list to Jay from Discount Games, so you can see the list there. And so I knew Danny was. I knew Bradigus is great into the Negra too because she has like no fit at all, and my opponent knew that as well. So I figured he will choose Asphyxius, and Kruger is like slow infantry, so I chose Kruger. And this is when I realized how bad it is. So we deployed, and I won the roll. I went first, and I unpacked my army, and I looked at the table after my turn if everything was activated, and I was like super satisfied with my unpacking. I was like, yeah, everything is in place where it's supposed to be, and I did my turn really fast. So great start. And then I passed the clock to my opponent. I look at clock, and it took me 11 minutes for a first turn, and I'm the first player. So it was horrible. I was like, what the fuck happened? I looked at my opponent's clock, if maybe we forgot to switch the clock during the deployment, but he had like 2 minutes from his clock already taken. So I figured it's that bad, my condition, I mean my brain condition. And I really felt like I'm really quick. Like everything, I moved everything quickly. I put unnecessary lightnings to a place where he couldn't enter them, but it didn't feel like 11 minutes for a first turn. So my opponent My opponent ran everything forward. He put some clouds, and his turn was quite quick. So he switched the clock to me, and I see that the clouds are quite close to me. He asked about my battle engine red range and if I'm speed 5, but he forgot that probably that I could port the battle engine. So I measured if my battle engine can enter the cloud, so I can see what's behind the cloud. And because of that, I could use my mist speaker to give Kruger eyeless sight and ignore those clouds as well. I measured if my shrimps can move into the clouds with TK, and it was all right. Everything was in range to Asphyxius. So I said, like, okay, my clock management is super bad, and Asphyxius is on one focus, one camp.
So let's make it short.
Yeah, let's make it short because I was sure I'm going to clock myself in a
long game doesn't look so well.
Yeah, and even if you have a great chance for the game, like everything was slow, and I could slow it down even more, but it would take me a lot of time to just roll the dice to kill all of them. So I went with Kruger first. There was some confusion about the distance, but I figured out the way to get in the range to Asphyxius. I had obviously a guidance from my speaker, so I threw some shots. The first shot was it's sustained attack, so the first shot only matters. I hit, so it was good. But
did you boost?
Sorry?
Did you boost?
Yeah, I boost the hit. It's very important, the first one. So I hit, but and I was really happy. But then my damage rolls were horrible. I rolled triple ones, and then the next shot was like he took focus and there no damage, and the last shot did like 2 boxes. So I was like, fuck, I cannot go back from it because I started my assassination with the caster, and there was no other way to do it. So
yeah, but does Braticus, Kruger decrease defense? Was it, or do I mixing it up with the shot?
No, he did not.
Doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't. So the chances for assassination from like probably 70%, no, maybe 60%, because it was just a little above average, went horribly wrong and bad. So, but I had to go with it. So I fit to push everything back, so no one could get into Kruger if I fail. So my opponent could only throw some spells at me, and that's how he could assassinate me. But I was base to base with obstacle, so there was great chance I will have a cover. But anyway, I sent in my battle engine. I did spray. I boosted the spray so I can make Asphyxius stationary, and that would be the game because I could boost my damage rolls with 2 other shots that are strength 14 and 50, but 15. But I hit, but I didn't crit stationary, so another bad roll. And with my fire shot, I boost to hit, and I did not boost the damage, so I did well. I believe I rolled like 11. I spiked and put him on fire. Then I throwed my lightning gun. I hit as well, but did a very little damage. So the next went shrimp, and because the first time I measured if I have the distance to the cloud to enter and see Asphyxius, I measured 9 inches, but the word was behind the wall. So actually I could not get there. So it was like really close, and the terrain was plastic and was sliding around. So there was actually a space between clouds that I could see them. So we knew that everything moved, and it was impossible to assess if I could could be in the cloud or not. So after like some confusion, we decided like try to kill me somewhere else. So I activated the left shrimp because I have two in my list, and the second one could get into the cloud from the left side. I boost to hit with my first roll, I boost the damage, and I killed Asphyxius. So it was quite a short game, and we calculated the odds, and actually it was really, if I don't roll a crit stationary, it's average. Just average dice makes me kill Asphyxius 2 boxes over what he had. So really, really risky one. But with my condition, it was the best I could do. So
I take it.
yeah. So happy end, and we avoided confusion from the second shrimp, and it would be like, impossible to say if I could get there or not. So I'm glad I avoided it, and my opponent was really cool, and he felt like he were like happy that it ended so quickly, because the first round was always stressful.
That's the first.
Yeah.
I never had a happy opponent that he was assassinated in round 2.
Yeah, it was round 1, but
I mean round 1 of the tournament, but round 2 of the game.
Yeah, round 2 of the game.
Yeah.
But it ended quickly, and the first game is really stressful. And he said that he came to have fun, not really with any expectations to win the tournament. And it was exciting because the dices were so all over the place, like some really bad rolls and some super spikes involved. So if I couldn't kill him, he would be on fire. So still, I had a chance to kill him because no camp. But yeah, we avoided it.
Yeah. Okay.
So my second round game was against a gentleman from Czech, and he played Legion of Everblight. He had Kalus 1 and Veil 2. So he did a good move before we chose the list. He asked if I have a lot of sorry, his name was Simon, and he asked about if I have a lot of players in a Legion of Everblight players in the meta. So I told him that we do, and I played Veil quite a lot, and I know her assassination potential, and I never played Kalus, so
he chose Kalus.
Yeah, he chose Kalus, and he told me that it's just because I know Veil and her assassination potential, so I could play around it. So he chose Kalus because he can surprise me. And he kind of did, because I chose Bradigus.
Was it Kalus 2 or Kalus 1?
Yeah, it was Kalus 1. And I asked about all things except the fit. So yeah. So it was in Primal Terrors, and he won the roll, and he opted to go second. The table was like Everblight Snowland with 3 super big obstacles in the middle of the table, and they were like super close to each other. Like they were so close as they could be to be legal. So there was only space for a huge base to move around. And he chose the side. He measured some distances. He chose to be second, and he chose the side. And it's because he could put his Hellmouths in the middle of the table, so 24th inch line, and behind huge obstructions, so I couldn't get to them. So it was a great play on his side, and I went first. I moved my stuff forward, and I blocked the way for Helmovs to push my caster in them with Watchers and Earth's Blessing. So he ran up forward. He measured 16 inches from my Blacklat, so I could not put Hunter's Mark on his Blightbringer and could not get to him with a Walled Guardian. But he did not see that my Blacklat was in stones. So the first thing I did in my turn, I ported the Blacklat in a range to Blightbringer. I put a Hunter's Mark to know if I can work my turn around it. Like if I succeed, if Hunter's Mark lands, I will obviously focus to kill the Blightbringer that turn because he. Oh, and he fitted in his turn, so it's important. And I could kill the Blightbringer. That's a really strong support for his army, and the game would be basically over because he
support colossal.
Yeah, support
Gargantuan. Just as a short break before you tell me if your Hunter's Mark landed, can you tell to the listeners how the stones work? So if somebody notices that your stones are into triangle over some models, that means you can port that model
8 inches.
8 inches. But the question is, can you move the stones before and port a model anyway, or does it have to start your round in those stones?
I have to start
activation.
I have to start my activation in the stones. Obviously, if there are 2 units of shifting stones, and the one stone from one unit is in a triangle of another, you could do some crazy shenanigans. So port a stone with a stones
to catch
and
something
then form
into
another
the triangle.
Yeah.
Or you can TK something into the triangle if you're playing Bradigus.
Not with Bradigus, yeah.
Sorry, Bradigus. Not with Kruger, but with a Kruger you could do it.
Yeah, or you can TK stone or TK something into stones.
Push something.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. But when you face Bradigus, you don't expect such shenanigans because shifting stones are usually far away from each other to port guardians for a fit. That's how I usually play, but sometimes I leave stone in a stone when I need to.
Okay, thanks. So now you can tell did your Hunter's Mark land?
Yeah, it did. I needed a 5 and I got 5 exactly. So Hunter's Mark landed, and that's when I knew I could get to Blightbringer, and that was my focus. So I started my synergy, killing some stuff that were in a way for a fit, because Blightbringer was in a difficult terrain. So, and 14 inches and a bit from me, so I couldn't got there by the port and fit. I needed to fit and charge. So I killed his tentacle that was in a way of Guardian, and then I realized how strong his fit is, because it gives +3 defense in his control range, and when you kill a model, he can put an incubus
for
in
free,
the place. Yeah, so I killed the tentacle and I was like super happy, and then incubi showed up and the incubi is defense 16, so it's not that easy to kill with because watchers are a half-inch range, and I couldn't block my charge lane with my own minis, so I sent in a worldwide that has 1 inch reach, but I failed to kill the incubi, so it started to be difficult. But I sent in World Watcher. I power attack him, and I was like, please, because I sometimes do things from automatically, yeah, with like a habit, and I usually do Stoneform and Earth's Blessing, which prevents you from the push. So if I do that with Bradigus, when I fit, the Watcher would not push forward and block my Guardian. So I was like telling to myself, "Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it! It will be a mistake. Don't do it!" And I tried to be focused on the game and remember not to do it.
You can write a note to yourself.
I I succeed in not making a mistake to put Earth's Blessing. I pushed my stuff forward and I charged the Blightbringer and I killed with my last attack. So Kalus had no other things in his battle group, so he was vulnerable to assassination after that, and his army had -2 strength and -2 arm basically because no aura is there anymore. So in retaliation, he went in, he tried to kill my guardians, but he failed to do so. And past the clock, he had to send Kalus in to finish a watcher that was like very close to him. And he moved his war spears around me, so I could not get to Kalus. But he forgot that I have irresistible force, so I can give my guardian a bulldoze. So I started my turn just by making sure that if I kill one of the guys that's there, that is in my way, I could bulldoze the other from away and get to Kalus. And I did that, and I killed Kalus with my second initial. So so the game was quick and ended up on assassination with no real. I don't think I get any victory points except for from Blightbringer. So not a grind.
Second game, second assassination.
Yeah, and I'm happy because my clock management was as bad as in the first game, because apparently sleeping is good for your brain.
Yeah, you warmed up, so
yeah,
it was better.
So the third round, I was paired with Patrick Dunford. You may be heard about this guy.
Yeah.
So I was super excited that I'm finally going to play him. But it was the last round that day, and I was getting more and more tired. But anyway, we played Spread the Net. He had the Dreamer and Oldwich. I was pretty sure he was going to choose Oldwich because I know that the Dreamer and Bradigus matchup favors Bradigus. But Pat chose the Dreamer. I chose Bradigus. He won the roll, so I lost again, and he decided to go second.
Oh, interesting.
And it was a really good choice. So he chose Arcana that slows me down. He chose Sacrifice, and obviously All Fall Down. So I ran my stuff forward, and in his turn, he bricked up and put gremlin swarms in front of his army to mitigate my alpha. So in my turn, I started by moving my mannequins in range to spray those gremlin swarms, and I succeed to spray 3 out of 4 of them. So after the game, Patrick told me he did not expect that, so that was a misplay. But he put the Arcana that slows me down. He gives me -2 inch of movement. So I knew I could not get to his alpha him. So I just moved my stuff out of his ranges and put up 2 or 3 of my lights in a range, because I didn't expect him to come to me, and throwed some shots, like did nothing with those shots. And here's my misplay, because in his turn he went in and killed 3 of my lights, and I have a lot longer threat range, so I should be the one that's going to land the first punch.
Doing the alpha, right?
So that was a misplay for a misplay, but my misplay was a lot worse. So in my turn, in retaliation, I sent in my heavies. I killed 2 of his heavies and left one with few boxes. Maybe not few boxes, but I took away more than a half of this beast, and I knew it was a sacrifice turn. But my only option to kill the rager was with Bradigus, and I opted not to do it because I was just, in the beginning of the game, he still has corpse tokens, and I was afraid he will assassinate me in retaliation. And going back to it, I think it was a mistake. I should send Bradigus in to help me out because he had way more heavies than I did. So I killed 2 of Skin and Bones and a Gorehound, I believe. He triggered sacrifice, killed his stuff, and in retaliation, he killed 1 of my heavies and left 1 on 3 boxes. And sent Death Knell in behind his heavy, so I could not heal and bring back my aspects. So I had only body on my guardian. So in my turn, I decided to put a bulldoze, irresistible force animus, to push the cage rager away from my guardian, then move my guardian back out of the Death Knell Zora, and then move my Stone Shaper to heal him up and be ready for next round. But Pat did a great move. He used his corpse token so I could not use my anima, and then we went in a confusion because I had no spirit, so I could not use my anima, but the anima was free. So I asked if I can use it if it's for free. So Patrick had no idea. We checked the rules, and apparently you cannot do it because the first thing you need to do is to force and then pay the cost. So you cannot force because your spirit is crippled, so we cannot use it even if it's for free or
for the
zero.
Cost 0. Okay.
Yeah. So that was a turn. I probably and turn before I fitted. It didn't matter. It at this point my fit could be only a tool to use for assassination. So Bradigus has 20 inches threat range for his gun, but I decided to fit just to put the guardian in his zone, so he need to kill it. So the game started to be like just a scenario play at this point. I used my mannequin spray to spray out stuff out of the flags and put them there. And he couldn't play wide enough because cage ragers are slow and there's only 14 inches of control and he has no units. So he was killing my stuff, putting phantasms and putting them on flags. So the game was, back and forth. And at some point I scored more points than Pat, like 3 points in a turn. And in my clock was running out, and Pat's clock was his clock management was flawless, just great. Like when I was at 2 minutes or 1 minute, he had 20 something. So at this point, even I was ahead on scenario, I just did my turn super quick and focused to contest every aspect, every scenario element. Made sure to leave 17 seconds. Made sure to have more than 15 seconds so I can do another round. And that's the funny story about the game is that I was sure that it's the seventh round. And in the middle of the game, I said to Patrick that the dice indicator of rounds is wrong, that we are playing fifth, not fourth round. But Patrick told me that I started and I probably am confused because of that. So I didn't want to lose time to talk about it. I just, play it. And I made sure I have more than 15 seconds so I can, play another round if it's necessary. And then I asked Patrick if do you mind if we recalculate the rounds because I'm positive that it's the last round of the game. So Patrick was like a bit confused and asked me like, how do you want to do it? And I didn't realize at the moment it's such a good question because we started talking about the game and it was hard to count the rounds
remember everything.
because of attrition. So I started talking. I went in with a point because I had 4 rounds of scoring, and in the fifth round I did not score, and I couldn't score in the first and second round. So I started describing it, but people gathered around us, said how we should resolve it, and it started to be a bit awkward, and Patrick was really confused. So at this moment, I really regretted that I went with it and even asked the question because I just asked, "Do you mind if we do it?" And now I'm just I just feel stupid. So, but I was really positive that it's the seventh round, and I feel like I convinced Patrick, judging just by his face. But you cannot agree to some. It's hard to agree to something like this when the indicator says something else. So Patrick looked at the table and he see that he can win in this round. So he said like, "Fine, let's go with it. That it's the seventh round." And he cleared the zone, cleared the flag, put a phantasm there, and won on tiebreakers. So with 1 point ahead of me. So yeah, it wasn't for the confusion wasn't worth wasn't worth it. But I just I was pretty sure that it's the seventh round, and I knew I'm going to lose that game at this point, and I really wanted to know how I do against the best of the best. Like, where can you go from Patrick? Like, he's like one of the best in the world, right?
Yeah.
So I was
exactly.
really happy with the result because I was like, I had no sleep. I was really stressed. A lot of dice fall out of my table, so my hands were stiff because I was playing someone that good, and I knew I had clock management issues. And in the end, I lost on clock because if I had the time in the last round, I could score 3 points, and I believe that would make Patrick life more difficult. I mean, he still had a way to win the game, but I had the chance, so I'm really happy with the final result of this game. It was a good one, and probably the most exciting of the day because it was a long grind. So the day one was over. We went to dinner. We had a great one, and I finally felt asleep. So the next day, the difference the sleep made was massive. Like I was paired with a Daniel, I believe, Austrian WTC player. He was playing Holiday Free and Nemo Free. I chose. So we skipped the list selection because it was obvious. I chose Kruger. He chose Halley. He won the role to go first, and he respected my threat ranges of mannequins, including TK. So I think that was the first thing, the first misplay on my opponent's part, because adding TK to mannequins is a bit silly. But he said that in previous edition of the game, you could TK the stone, and you cannot do it now. So because of that, I could play Kruger more aggressively. And before the Masters, I had to practice game against Haley, and I lost it due to assassination. So I was happy I could play Kruger more forward and make Windstorm more effective. I went up front, put a Windstorm, throw some worthless shots, put the dog on fire because I really want to, remove it from the table because he could use it to shut my sentry stones from the table. So all the fire went out. He rolled 4 once in a row. So the game started like the luck is on your side. He sent in Thorn to use it as an Arknode for some spells to take out my Sentry Stone. He succeeded. He took out Blacklat, and he positioned his army, basically. So in my turn, I sent Kruger in behind the big obstruction in the middle of the table. I fit, so pushed everything away, pushed Thorn away of the wall, and shot the Thorn off the table. So I was happy because the Thorn is the worst thing when it comes to scaring Kruger. I mean, he can force hammer me, and the rest of the army could easily kill me. I put Windstorm. I made sure I'm on. I had like 4 camp, and till the end of the game, I was leaving Kruger with 4 camp.
Probably good choice.
Yeah, I think so. So in retaliation, he tried to kill my Fulcrum, and he was really focused to do it. And he used like everything and left Fulcrum on one box. So he had to send the only guy that after defeat had a range to my zone. So he could not contest the zone anymore because he needed the shot to finish off Fulcrum. He succeeded, and long gunners put some damage, nothing really important. So in his retaliation, he scored a point in his zone, and I scored in my zone. So at this moment, I see that my opponent's clock is running out in the 3rd round, and I'm still I'm good on clock. So I took my time. I chilled out and focused to make the moves really optimal. I went down on clock, so my advantage wasn't really that big in the end, but I did some good moves, but he passed some tough checks like 6 or 7 in a row. So the rolls were with him. So it was back and forth again, and I managed to clear his zones effectively, and because he was running out of time, he forgot about Windstorm a few times, and because of it, he couldn't use his guns effectively. And in the end, it went down on clock. He couldn't do 7th round because he had 14 seconds on the clock. So I just
lost some time, as you usually do with Haley 3.
yeah. But right. I was down on clock as well. It was the last game in the room. I had like 1 minute or 2 minutes, and he had 14 seconds. So we just calculated how many CPs I'm going to score, and went for a dinner.
Okay. So was it one more game?
Yeah, one more game.
Can we make it very short, because we're running out of time as well?
Sure. It was a short game, so it will be easy. So I was paired with a Polish guy, Artur Ritz, Homik, that was facing Pat in 4th round. He lost. He left Old Witch on 2 boxes corroded, so unfortunate. So he was playing Denegra 1 and Denegra 2, and both of those lists, my matchup is really good with both of my lists into both of his lists. So Bradigus was probably a better choice. I chose Bradigus because I have a lot of remove from play and everything has magic weapons. and I have longer ranges than the Negra too. So it was an easy choice, and I knew he's going to go with assassination either way. He chose Ghost Fleet, the Negra one, and I went in. He went in. He did the only interesting thing in this game really was he killed his riflemans, so I could not RFP them with my World Watchers guns. So he did that, and I made sure I have 3 shield guards, and I was on a free camp. So I was ready for an assassination. He went for it and left me on 7 boxes and 1 camp and one fury. So he failed it. In retaliation, I killed like most of his stuff. I left Bradigus with 5 transfers. So there was nothing he could do, and I just scored 5-0 in the end, and that placed me in the 3rd place.
Okay.
So yeah, Patrick won with Johan Derlind, I believe. He was a Swedish guy.
Yeah, playing Scorn.
Yeah, probably. A Scorn player. Yeah, double turtles. So
the Scorn was second?
Yeah, Scorn was second, cool. And I was 3rd. And great tournament. And
so Hordes ruled top 3.
yeah.
All right. So congratulations. So it was very international tournament. So a lot of skill involved, and all things considering, I think it's a great thing to be on 3rd place on your first international tournament.
Yeah, I think so, because there's a language barrier for me that's not affecting English players or players that are used to playing internationally. So I'm pretty happy with the result.
Now you are also international player. All right. So we can wrap up. I need to finish this, unfortunately. So this was a bonus episode. We promise that will not be no more tournament reps, that we have a topic next time. We'll still have that topic because that is out of schedule episode. So
yeah, the next episode is going to be next week with Rafał, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
All
right. So thanks for sharing, Tomasz, and until next time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. See you.
Bye.